You've been warned, because this is definitely a trigger warning video and somebody needs to talk about this. Let's get into it. So as you all know, Hurricane Helene made landfall on Thursday. Absolutely devastated a lot of Florida, our beautiful coast, inland areas, traveled up into Georgia, hit parts of Georgia as a Cat 2, hit South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee. It's causing problems in Virginia, so many states. The destruction, unbelievable. Death toll still rising. There are still so many people that have not been found. Areas that no help has been to yet. People are still stuck. And a few days ago, 60 Minutes did a story on Hurricane Ian, which happened and hit Florida 2 years ago. That one was actually supposed to hit our area, the Nature Coast. Wind pushed it down and it ended up making landfall, the direct hit in Fort Myers. Just completely destroyed that area, other areas as well. And the battle ramped up. And what we're going to get into today is not something that it's not just something that should anger every single one of us as Americans, but also as consumers. So here's the story that 60 Minutes ran, and I'm going to show a small clip, and then I'm going to also put the link for the video in the description. Now I urge you, go watch that video. It is super important. It actually will affect all of us with homeowners insurance, because if we think that it's just happening in the state of Florida and several other states, people are seriously mistaken.
It's been 2 years since Hurricane Ian hit Southwest Florida, and an estimated 50,000 homeowners are still locked in battles with their insurance companies. Tonight, you will hear from insurance insiders who say after years of diligently paying premiums, homeowners are being misled by their insurance carriers. The whistleblowers, who are all licensed adjusters, tell us after Hurricane Ian, several insurance carriers were using altered damage reports to deceive customers.
So what happened is they send out adjusters. They hire them from outside sources. They come in, they do the actual walkthrough of the businesses, the homes, things that are damaged. They write up the report and they give the actual amount of the damage that needs to be paid out on this policy. What was found was, and I truly can't even believe this is going on. I can, but I can't. The outside adjuster, this particular one that went and actually gave testimony before the state, wrote up the amount for this couple who suffered massive damage in Fort Myers. Now keep in mind, this was 2 years ago, still not resolved. He put down it was a little over $231,000 worth of damage. The insurance company then had a desk employee change the entire thing, and you will never believe what they changed it to. They dropped it down to $15,400. $15,400 from $231,000 worth of damage. The original adjuster put they needed an actual new roof. The roof was so damaged, and to this day, 2 years later, there's a hole that spans the entire thing in their roof line. They put that it just needed a repair. Their house was flooded with feet of water. They now find themselves paying a mortgage on that house. 2 years later, they're paying rent at another place, because let's be real, how many of us have that kind of money laying around to rebuild our homes? And when we buy insurance, we expect our carriers to actually pay out. So there's an attorney involved. He is actually filing suit They got a hold of the original adjuster because, of course, when he left, he would leave his cell phone number for the homeowners that he did the walkthroughs with. And he talks about in this video just getting cussed out and getting all these calls. And he shows the difference between his report and the other report that the insurance carriers changed it to. Now, not only did they change it, but they left the original guy's number and license on there. They accidentally forgot to add who the second adjuster was that went in and changed all of that information. 2 years later, still have not been paid. They still don't have their house repaired. A watchdog group comes in and they find that this has been going on in 6 states. 6 states, people. It doesn't matter if you are in an area that suffers hurricanes, that suffers fires, earthquakes, tornadoes. This is beginning to go on. Now, we already know that carriers have bailed on certain states. A ton have left California. There's been some that have left Texas. There's been a bunch that have left Florida, right? These companies are still making profits. How are they making profits? They're making profits on the back of us. And the problem is that these homeowners are going up against Goliath. Now, this actually happened to us about 3 years ago. The policy provider for our mortgage insurance flew drones over our property. And about a week prior, we had a storm. We have 2 10 by 10 carport buildings that are, the roof got ripped off, the sides were destroyed, everything inside we pretty much lost. We had to throw away. And unfortunately, it was, you know, photo albums and stuff from our kids, like stuff that meant a lot to us. But unfortunately, we lost it. Well, we were in the process of getting everything cleaned up, going through stuff, seeing what we could salvage, seeing what we couldn't. They came out about a week later, flew the drone over our property, walked onto our property, taking pictures, and sent us a document saying if we didn't get things cleaned up within a few days, our policy was going to get canceled. So we got it all done. We submitted the papers. Shortly thereafter, we get another one saying that our roof needs to be replaced. That was $10,000. There was nothing wrong with our roof. We had to replace our commercial grade propane water heater, which, by the way, very difficult to come by because it's commercial grade and they are very expensive. There was nothing wrong with our water heater. And then our front yard had to be digged up and all new plumbing had to be laid. And there was nothing we could do. So about $40,000 later, submitted all the paperwork, kept the insurance. I mean, when will this stuff end, guys? Seriously. This is insane that, number one, we are required to carry this. We have no say in carrying this. We have no say in what they raise our rates, which, let's be real, they have gone through the roof. They've gone through the roof. And then if something happens, they won't pay out. And they do all kinds of illegal and shady stuff to make sure that they don't pay out. This makes me so angry because I'm already seeing it with Helene. I'm already seeing the stories of people in our community that the insurance companies are sending over agents, and these people's homes were wrecked and they aren't paying out. One of the stories from a lady right down the road in Crystal River, they came in, all of their cabinets below were destroyed. They're telling them basically just to dry it out. All they're going to pay for is the drywall. Well, you cannot leave wet door trim up. You can't dry out cabinets. You cannot leave wet insulation in your walls. I mean, when is this gonna stop? Seriously. Because last time I checked, just like what they talked about in the 60 Minutes interview, if I committed fraud against any of these insurance companies, my butt would be prosecuted and I would be in jail. 2 years later with Ian, no arrests, no changes, and these people are just getting away with it. And they're gonna keep getting away with it. And in the meantime, us as Americans and us as consumers are getting screwed. Screwed. We're forced to buy this. We're forced to pay an obscene amount of money every single year. For what? I swear, it's the biggest freaking Ponzi scheme ever. And it's not just homeowners insurance, it's car insurance, it's health insurance, it's across the flipping board, people. When somebody goes through what all these people have gone through, the trauma and the heartache of losing so much, that is the last thing any American should have to worry about, is the opportunity to actually get their policy paid out for what they have paid for. And in many cases for years and years with no problems. And yet, here we are. So I really want you to go watch that 60 Minutes, because it is alarming. And it's not just going to be here in Florida, and it's not just going to be in the other 5 states that they have found it in. This is going to be across the board, because now that they've seen they can truly get away with it in our state and other states, do you not think they're not going to come to your state and do the same? They are absolutely going to. So if you or someone else has been affected, that you know, write your story down below, because something has to be done. People really need to start talking about this, and there needs to be change. And before anybody says, oh, it's one side or the other, let me just tell you, both sides of the aisle have deep pockets. Both sides of the aisle are corrupt, and both sides of the aisle are getting handouts for stuff like this to look the other way. And it is disgusting. And I think it is time that Americans wake up and we just say that this is unacceptable and no more, and we insist on change.